Hello, and welcome to part 3 of the Photoshop tutorial series. Today, we're going to be making a packaging design based on a very famous brand. So, let's get started. So, this packaging design is going to be based on the popular brand Nike, and it's going to be an imaginary product called Nike Audio, which is going to be a sound device developed by Nike. But it's all a hypothetical situation. Okay, let's have a look at the different images that we're going to be working with to create this packaging design. Here we have an actual sample of what the packaging design is going to look like. And then over here we have the actual template that we're going to use to create this packaging design. Also we have here a really cool picture of a sound wave, which I'm going to use. Here is the Nike logo. Here is the shoebox example of a Nike product. I'll show you what we're going to do with that later on. And lastly, a barcode for the package. So, let's get started. Okay, so I want to make this packaging design as accurate as possible. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the actual corporate colors of Nike. Okay, so I want to use the official Nike color for this packaging design. So I'll just show you this image here. This is called shoebox.jpg. And what it is, it's an image of a Nike shoebox with the official color. Now, I want to take a sample of the color of the shoebox. So what I'm going to do is go to the left hand side here on the toolbar. I'm going to pick the eyedropper tool. It's the sixth one down. And I'm just going to click on an area of the shoebox of the color that I want to use. So I'm just going to click right here. Now, if you look at the color palette on the left hand side, you see that I now have the official color of Nike selected. So, with the color selected, I'm going to go now to my packaging template, like so. Okay. And I'm going to go down to the bottom of the layers panel and create a new layer like that, and then I'm going to move that layer to the very bottom of the layer order, and I'm just going to call that background like so. Okay, so now we're going to make the background using the Nike color. So what I'm going to do is make sure that my background is selected in the layers. I'm going to go over here to the canvas. I'm going to go Control A to select all. Like that, you'll see the marquee around the edge of the image. And then I'm going to go ahead and go up to Edit, up here on the top left, and I'm going to go down to Fill. So with Fill selected, you will get a couple of options of what you can do to fill. You want to make sure the foreground color is selected. Now if I go OK, there you go. I now have the color in the background. I'm just going to go Control D to deselect, and here we go. So let's quickly inspect this template before we move forward. So the length here will be the side of the package. The hexagon on the left hand side here will be the bottom of the package. The hexagon on the right here will be the lid of the package, and here we have the actual inside of the package. So the next step is to actually rotate this canvas so it is actually easier to work with. So what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to go up to Image, go down to Image Rotation, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. Here we go. So with the template now in landscape mode, it'll be a lot easier to design. And one more thing before we move any further is just to make sure that our file is saved. So File and Save As, I'm going to call it Nike Packaging. There we go. Save. And cool. Okay, so let's start designing with adding the Nike logo. So I'm going to go up here to the Nike swoosh image, and here we go. Here we have a sample of the Nike logo. Now remember, with this exercise, you don't actually have to use Nike. You can use any brand that you choose. Just make sure you're using the correct color and logo for the brand. Okay, so now let's add this logo to the main design. So what I'm going to do is go Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and then we're going to go back to the main template over here and Control V to paste, like so. Okay, so let's just zoom in a little bit, like that. And I'm going to move the logo over to the lid of the package. Now, as you can tell, the logo with the black box around it doesn't look very professional or very good. We want just the logo, and we don't really want this black box on the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick the magic wand tool, fourth down from the top, and I'm going to use this magic wand tool to get rid of the black area that we don't need anymore. So I've set the tolerance to about 150, and make sure anti-alias is selected as well. I'm going to go ahead now and click the black area of the logo. As you can see, it's selected all the black, and now I'm going to go ahead and just hit delete or backspace. Okay, there we go. The black area is gone, and just to check, I'm going to go Control D, select none, and there we go. We have the logo without the black background. Okay, so let's add some text to this imaginary product that I want to call Nike Audio. So I'm going to go over here to the T icon. It's the text tool on the left-hand side. Click on that. Make sure my text is white, which it is. And then I'm just going to click here on the canvas. Comes up with a cursor. I'm going to type in audio, like that. And just to confirm that, I'm going to go up here to the move tool and press it. Alright, it's punched in. And now I'm just going to use the arrow keys to line it all up. There we go. Looks good. Okay, so the next thing I'd like to do is to add a really cool sound wave motif to the side of the package. So I've actually got this really cool image here that I found, some sound waves. And what I'm going to do is I want to basically just take the white part of it, not the black part of it. So I'm going to go here to my magic wand tool. I'm going to click on the black area. Remember, my tolerance here is 144. Anti-alias is ticked, and make sure contiguous is unticked. That's very important. So here we go. I'm going to click on the dark area like so. It's picked all the dark area. I'm going to go Shift Control I to invert the selection. Now it's selected the sound wave, and then I'm going to go Control X to cut it out, like so. Then I'm going to go back to my packaging template. Make sure that when I paste, it's at the top of the hierarchy in the layers. So here we go, Control V to paste, and there's my sound wave. Okay, so now for the next step, what we're going to do now is we want to lay out this really cool sound wave motif on the template, actually, which is on the side of the package here. So I'm going to hit the V key for move, and making sure sound wave is selected. I've renamed this layer sound wave, and then I'm going to go ahead here and line it up inside the template. Let's transform it, make it a little bit smaller, like so. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we want to create a duplicate of that sound wave to lay out on the remaining of the template here. What I'm going to do now is just make sure sound wave is selected. And then remember from last tutorial, we can duplicate an object by holding down the Alt key, clicking on the image and then dragging it across, but make sure Soundwave is selected. So let's go ahead now, and there we go. We've duplicated it, like so. And now we have a really cool Soundwave motif on the side of the package. Okay, so now for the next step, what we're going to do now is add a barcode to this package design. I've got a really cool little barcode image here. Here it is here. It's a black barcode with numbers on a transparent background. So this should easily blend in with the rest of the design. So I'm going to make sure that the layer is selected. So I'm going to click on the layer, make sure it's selected. I'm going to go Control A for select all, Control C to copy. I'm going to go back to the package template and go Control V to paste. And there is our barcode. Okay, so let's go ahead now and lay out this barcode on the bottom of the package. So I'm just going to go over here, make sure it's selected. Here we go. I'm just going to call that barcode. Like so. Cool. And we are going to basically move this barcode to the bottom of the package. So remember, if I hold down spacebar, a hand will appear, and if I click and drag, I can actually move the canvas around. So I'm just going to move it like this, and I'm going to move the barcode to the bottom of the package. I just go Control T to transform, make it nice and small, like so. And we'll just line it up nicely so it's all even. And I'm just going to quickly edit it, make it a little bit more stylized. A nice thin barcode. Okay, cool. Well, there's the barcode. So the barcode's not completely black, so I just want to make sure it's a pure black color. I'm going to quickly go over to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. And I'm just going to punch in as much black as possible in the levels. Like so. There we go, that's much better. So now you can see it's a lot more richer black. I'm going to go OK. And that is done. So next I'm just going to quickly just realign the Nike logo with text. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to pick both the audio text layer and the logo, holding down Shift, like so. I just want to just adjust it just a little bit, make it a little bit more in the center. Alright, that looks much better. Okay, so the last thing I'd like to do to wrap up the visual design of the package is to add a little bit of a motif to the inside of the template. Alright, so let's go ahead now and add that motif. So what I'm going to do is create a new layer, like so. Call that inside. Cool. I'm going to go over now and select the elliptical marquee tool. And then with Shift and Alt, I'm going to draw a circle selection from the center of this circle here, like so. I'm just going to use the arrow keys to line it all up, nice and good. Okay. Then I'm going to hit Stroke, which is under Edit, Stroke, and I'm going to give it a 5 pixel width, and I'm going to have it draw to the outside. And go OK. Cool, there you go. You have a nice sharp looking circle there. And I'm going to make another copy of that and transform it a bit larger. And then one more copy of that as well. And transform that a little bit larger. Like so. Okay, looks good. Now next we just want to go ahead now and merge those three rings together. So as you can see here, I've got inside copy, and inside copy too. But I want to make that all on the same layer to keep it nice and organized. So I'm going to go ahead now, and with the Shift key held down, hold down Shift, I'm going to click these three inside rings, and then I'm going to go ahead now and hit Control E. And now what Control E does is that it merges all of the selected layers in your hierarchy. So I'm going to go Control E and watch what happens. Okay, it's made it into one layer. I'm going to go ahead now and just rename that. And there we go. And the final thing I'm going to do now is just add some little circles to the motif. So I'm going to once again create a new layer, like so. I'm just going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to create some circles. And fill that in with white. Make sure foreground color is selected and it's white. Okay, and then I'm going to copy that, paste, and put them around on the rings. Paste one more time, and we'll have one like here. Alright, cool. And once again, I'm going to Shift select those layers, and I'm going to go Control E again to merge them, and I'll just call this dots. Okay, cool. That motif is complete. Okay, so now if we zoom out, we can see our final packaging design. It's super cool and nice and minimal. Good use of color and shapes. So there we go. Okay, so the last thing that we can do to clean up the whole template design is to add a bit of white to the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the background here, make sure that it's not locked. I'm going to add a new layer, like so. I'm going to call this white. Like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the template layer. Now with the template layer selected, I'm going to go ahead now and make sure I've got the magic wand tool, like so. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the outside of the template and make sure contiguous is selected. So I'm going to click on the outside of the template, and there we go. The whole outside of the template has been selected. I'm going to go to the layer called white that we just created, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to Edit and Fill. We've been here before. Make sure the white is selected in the colors, and make sure it says foreground color. And go OK. And go Control D to select None. And there we have it. That is the final design for the package. Now, there's just a couple more things I'd like to show you before we wrap it up, and that just involves selections and filling with color. So for example, if I just wanted to go ahead and color just this box here, I could move in, select the rectangular marquee tool, draw a square, make sure I have a color selected, go to Edit and Fill, and just basically use the foreground color. So there we go. We have just a square selected. Or what we can do, for example, if you wanted to select the whole rectangle here, I would go ahead and make a new layer. Just zoom in a little bit. Like so. And go Fill. And there you go, we have the whole rectangle. And we'll just move that template to the top, like so. Okay, and the very last tool that I'd like to show you, if you're working with more complex shapes that are not just ellipses, circles, or rectangles or squares, is you can actually go ahead here and use what's called the polygonal lasso tool. I'm going to select that. It's third down from the top, polygonal lasso tool. I'll just turn off these red layers here. Now, for example, I would like to go ahead and just select the hexagon here. So I can go ahead now and, with the polygonal lasso tool selected, I can go ahead and make a new shape. But before I do that, I'll make a new layer and draw on that new layer. So watch what happens. I can actually go ahead now and draw a series of straight lines that creates a shape. And remember, when you use this tool, you always have to return back to the start and then click. And there we have it. We have a hexagon selected, and I can go ahead now and go fill, foreground color, Control D for none, and there we have it. We have a more complex shape being selected. I can move the template on top, and there you go. Well, that is the end of the tutorial. Thanks very much. I hope you had a bit of fun, and I shall see you guys in the next one.